Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Terry Holland, trainer of NLP, Hypnosis and Timeline Therapy.
And I'm Stefano Casalter, award-winning speaker, and now a newly minted NLP master practitioner and master hypnotherapist. Thanks to you, by the way. That's
Oh,
where
well,
we've been.
that's what we've been doing. Yeah, training. Where are you going? I don't know where Stefano just disappeared to. Oh no. What is this?
Well, you can't take me seriously in this?
No.
Well, it's the only shirt I had, though.
Oh, boo.
I'm sorry. Uh,
That was amazing. I think you should leave it on.
yeah, it's quite the improvement, I think. So
Oh man.
tonight, let's talk about this. I'm so pumped after taking this training from you. I'd like to call you the queen of NLP.
Nah.
I've been studying it a lot, and it never really became clear until I took your training. So I'm
Oh,
very grateful to be able to do that with you. And there's so many things that we learned that we can pass on to public speaking too.
totally. Totally.
For example, asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah, questions are important.
No, hang on, my son is needs to be open as Gatorade.
Oh.
There you go, buddy.
Thanks.
I think that's one of the most interesting things, and this is really inspiring to me, is that I put off doing these videos for the longest time,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yep.
Because I never thought there would be a perfect moment or a perfect place. This house is going crazy with kids and dogs chewing stuff in the background. So there never was a good time to do it.
Yeah.
How many times in our lives have we told ourselves that?
Yep.
How many times have we put stuff off because it wasn't perfect time? It wasn't the right time to do anything.
Right.
And I think back to myself and I ask myself the question, how many things have I done this to myself in my life? How
Right.
many times have you done it in yours? Right?
Many.
Yeah, yours too, right?
Many.
Absolutely. Anybody watching this, we always make excuses for ourselves. So this is one of the powerful lessons about asking questions in NLP, which I'm sure you could tell us something about.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I relate to that too, because I wouldn't do videos for a long time and was terrified of it because I thought they wouldn't be good enough. They wouldn't be good enough. I wouldn't be perfect at it. And the question was, well, how can they ever be perfect if I don't start? That was a question that my coach asked me. He said, how will you ever be perfect at them if you don't start?
Hmm.
Yeah. And so NLP is all about asking questions and asking the right questions, which presuppose an answer within the question. So for the client or the person to answer the question, they have to think in a certain way in order to answer that question. The questions are
And
important.
yeah, and this is a time-honored tradition in public speaking. This is
Yeah.
something we do all the time.
Hmm. It's a great way to engage an audience is to ask a question. When you ask a question, people they have to answer it. The mind cannot avoid answering a question. So the moment you ask someone a question, they have to go inside to answer it. They go inside their mind and they have to search for the answer. And when they do that, they go into a light state of trance. Powerful state to have your audience in.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And this is a good technique as well. When we're doing public speaking, we're putting together our speeches, and we're telling our own personal stories.
Yeah.
The real, the most important trick that you have to use is how do you turn that, your message from your story, and make it audience centered?
Yeah.
And
How do you
how,
do that?
you ask a question.
Nice.
What about for me? I always use my international speech for this is I talk about not letting fear interfere. And I ask the audience, what about for you? Maybe it's your mom or someone else that inspired you. So as soon as I got the message out about my story, I go right into an audience-centered question. What about you? Bam. That automatically forces people to think about it in their own lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a universal experience, an experience that all of us could relate to, but now, pow, it's right in the audience's face. So they're forced to turn inside and ask a question.
Yeah. And it really draws them into the story because now they're putting themselves in the situation of the story. Yeah.
I think one of the most profound things I learned this week was from you.
What?
Yes. I may or may not have been sucked into doing a 5K run with a bunch of other people. And the reason why, yeah, I know. So I've been putting it off. I dodged the question. I wasn't committing to anything.
Mhm.
And then you asked, I was talking about my health. And I said, I'm just too busy to run right now. I can't do it. I'm not going to commit to doing something like that. I'm too busy. I don't have the time. And you said to me, when did you decide that?
Mhm. Good question.
I think that's a great question.
Mhm.
And I was forced to look inside and think, well, no, I didn't decide that. It's the truth. I don't have time.
Mm.
But do I really not have time?
Right.
And then another profound question from the Oracle, Talia Holland. She said, are you happy with the way your health is right now? And I'm thinking, well, not necessarily. And you said to me, what story are you telling yourself right
Mm.
now that allows you to continue down the path that you're going? Wow.
Question.
That is a great question. And it had the most profound effect on me. And this just goes to show the power of the questions. Not only that, the power of our personal stories. That's my personal story. What excuses am I telling myself? And that's all there are. They're excuses.
Yeah.
So it was a fundamental shift in me to
Mhm.
know that I have to change my personal story
Yeah.
because the one that I have for me isn't really working right now.
Nope.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that because that was a profound experience. And there's a question you could ask your audience. Like, for example, anyone that's watching this, if public speaking is something that you want to do, why aren't you doing it? When did you decide not to?
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Oh,
did, if you're not doing it and you know you want to do it or you should be doing it, what story are you telling yourself
yeah.
to allow you to continue down the path of not doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're still picturing the clown
I am.
afro, aren't you? Yeah. Well, I love your witch costume, by the way. It's fantastic.
Oh, oh, ouch. Burn. 1 minute the oracle, the next minute a witch. Thanks.
So I
Yeah.
think that's one thing that is very powerful is our personal story. What is our story that we're writing for ourselves right now?
Right. And so for public speaking, what story are you telling yourself about speaking?
Mhm.
Is it that I can't do it, that it's scary, that no one wants to hear me? I don't have anything to say. I used to tell myself that all the time. I have nothing to say. What am I going to say? Who would want to hear what I have to say? And none of those are true. So we tell ourselves these stories over and over again, and the question to ask yourself is that true? Is this supporting what I want? So if you want to be speaking and you have all these stories that you're running over and over, you can't do it, it's scary, you don't want to do it, no one wants to hear you, you have nothing to say, none of those are true. And none of those are supporting your desire to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're no more true than any other belief. Right? So a limiting belief isn't true. It's just something that you've decided at some point to believe. And I think that's an important distinction that we make in NLP is that before you can believe something, you have to decide to believe it. That's why the question of when did you decide that is so powerful because it presupposes or assumes that at some point you decided it. And when you ask that question, a person has to go inside and look for the time when they decided. And it's much more empowering, I think, to come from a position of I decided this, because if I decided it, I can undecide it. But if it was just some belief that was forced upon me, I can't, what can I do about that? If it wasn't my choice, I can't change it. So it's a position of empowerment. We ask these questions, they're very empowering because now you have choice of how you want to answer that question or what story do you want to continue telling yourself.
And what I think a lot of people have issues with is being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, we just did a Fearless Speakers weekend, and one of the things we teach people is how to be vulnerable. And it's a hard concept for people to come to grips with. And it was a hard concept for me to come to grips with as well. I was forced to ask questions about myself, about how things in my life really happened. Like, how did my business fail in 2000? What happened? I've got so many. I never wanted to admit there was problems. I never wanted to admit it was a failure, and maybe all of it wasn't my fault. But yeah, maybe part of it was. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that because there's so many learnings that came from that.
Totally.
By sharing your fears, by sharing your failures, by sharing your f ups, it's a powerful thing. It And that's one of the greatest things that I learned is you could get up on stage and you can share your failures, and the moment that allowed you to overcome is the secret ingredient
Mm-hmm.
that inspires your audience.
For sure.
So ask yourself a question. What was it that got me to where you are today? How did you overcome that failure? I think that's an amazing question to ask yourself. And who do you owe it to? If the answer is yourself, I think you better ask that question again.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I owe overcoming this to? Was it a book? A person? Was it the Oracle, Terry Holland? I know there's a lot of people that say that, but it's true. It's like who do you owe that to? What was it that inspired you to become what you are today?
For sure.
Yeah. So look at your life, ask that question. It's a very powerful question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So incorporate these to your speeches, your presentations.
Mm-hmm. And really, and when you do, and just sort of touching on vulnerability, is when you allow yourself to share that, if you put it in the position of who's going to learn from this experience, who can I share this with that will benefit from this, then it's also it's freeing in a sense, right? Like, do you find that when you share your story, then someone else learns from that, and they learn from that experience, or maybe they just think, wow, if he got through that, I can get through my challenge. I can get through what I'm going through. Or with your international speech to hear, yeah, I can overcome these fears in my life. I can do something different. And that's who it's really for. When you're public speaking, it's for the audience to learn something from, so that maybe you make things a little easier, a little better for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of being vulnerable on stage.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what's stopping you from telling your personal journey? What's
Mm.
stopping you from sharing your learnings and your gifts that's helped you overcome with the world?
Mhm.
And what story are you telling yourself not to allow you to give those gifts to people?
Right.
Is it the fear of public speaking? What are you afraid of?
Mhm.
I was terrified of public speaking. To me, it was the hardest thing. If I wasn't forced to do it, I never would have done it. Right? Were you the same?
terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified. And I grew up in the theater. So I didn't have stage fright. I was comfortable on stage when it was someone else's words and a pretend character and a pretend situation. But when I was faced with just being me, sharing my words and my stories just as me on stage, it was terrifying.
And how transformational was that for you to finally be able to find your voice and share it with everybody else and inspire people like you do every day? Now, that must have been an amazing experience.
It was huge.
Yeah, I know it was for me. It was, and I think back, I didn't spontaneously combust.
No.
No, I had terrible anxiety, and I was fearful. There was nothing I would have rather done. I mean, anything I would have rather done. Anything. If I had a choice, I would never have done it. And look how liberating it's been for me in my life. It's been revolutionary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have fear of public speaking? Well, we can help with that too, can't we?
Help with that.
Yes. I promise you, you will not spontaneously combust
No.
when you go on stage.
Mhm.
We can help. We do the Fearless Speakers Weekend, which is good for beginners and advanced as well.
For sure.
And I have to say, you will not look at speakers the same as you
Hmm.
do after the weekend,
Yeah.
because we teach you the secrets to becoming unconsciously awesome.
Yeah.
You could, yes, you know how to stand on stage, you know how to hold yourself, you know how to use your voice properly. And the problem is, and this is the biggest drawback of all this, is you can't watch other speakers now without noticing why they're making mistakes.
Yeah.
We recently had somebody that took our Fearless Speakers Weekend, and she went to an event,
Hmm.
and she started to notice. She goes, now I see why some speakers kind of give you that feeling, and
Yeah.
the speakers that are good, because they use all these great speakers use all these techniques.
Hmm.
And the other speakers, they may be good speakers, but they just come off as uh.
Yeah.
Do you want to be or do you want to be great? Right? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get
Exactly.
excited about this stuff. I get so pumped about it because I see it change people's lives every single day.
Totally.
So
And I
what
think,
story?
oh, yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
what story are you telling yourself not to take that step?
Right.
Go on.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, and I think sort of the secret ingredient that we offer in our training is NLP.
Hmm.
So we're teaching you how to communicate unconsciously from the stage, how to do things that elicit emotion in your audience, how to move in a way that exudes confidence and clarity on stage, how to move purposefully, and how to do all of that easily, as well as how to put yourself in the right state for speaking so that you feel calm, focused, centered on stage, and not nervous or jittery or scared to be there.
Sorry, I got my son in the background. He's over there looking at me going like this.
That's awesome.
There's no perfect time for videos.
No,
Anytime's the perfect time.
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So use these questions. We've been asking questions this entire video purposefully to get you to think, to get you to reflect on yourself, to share our own ideas with each other and with you.
Right.
Asking questions is a powerful way to do it. It's the best way to do it.
Totally. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. We're happy to answer any questions you might have about questions. Questions about questions. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want
I
to
think.
plug our
Oh,
we're going to be doing a signature talk retreat in the new year.
I'm not going to talk because.
And this is going to be the place where we ask the tough questions. And you reach deep and you find the tough answers to those tough questions. You get your life story. You get all those learnings that you've had in your life. They're so profound and deep that you can share with the world your signature talk.
Yeah.
Your 18-minute TED Talk, your keynote speech, the thing you have always wanted to, hang on, the thing you've always wanted to share with the world. You could come and we're going to do 4 or 5 days of intense brainstorming to draw those, ask the tough questions, draw those things out of you, and give you a powerful presentation to give afterwards.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we have and we know we can offer is having, you can come out and have a keynote speech or a signature talk. That's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But do you want a speech that's going to be great? That's going to compel people? That's going to make them want to buy your products and services and call them to action? That is the stuff that magical speeches are made of. And that's what we do in our signature talk retreat.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too. Yeah, I'm stoked.
It'll be fun.
All this stuff is fun. Fearless Speakers Weekend. Our next one is November 17th
Yeah,
and
17th
18th. Yeah,
in Langley.
at Christy Power Studio.
Yeah.
She's amazing, by the way.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she'll be at our retreat as well. She'll be there. Cool. Wow. Thanks for joining us tonight. Oh, it's back. It's back.
It's here to stay. I mean,
It's just your new look.
every week's going to be like this. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us tonight. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to post below. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Back next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yes. All right. Have a good night and a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.